Welcome to the Global Equipping Center event called Upgrading Your Life for 2020. So we've been talking just amongst ourselves about some different ideas and about what you thought about your year last year. For those of you watching Facebook Live or you're going to be watching this link, please email us because we have notes for you. And so if you'll do that, we will send you that PDF and then you can fill out the notes while you watch this. Now, for those of you that have ADHD, meaning you watch a video for 3.2 seconds, this isn't for you because this is going to go to in-depth secrets about how to grow your company. And you can't grow it in 3 seconds. So if you have tolerance just to stay 1 hour with us, what's going to happen is by the time we're done with some of these principles, you're going to ask yourself a very hard question. Number one, are you in the right organization? Number two, are you the right person? And number three, could you do anything else that would make you happier than what you're doing today? Because typically, people don't grow organizations if they don't love them. You don't find miserable people that are usually wealthy. Miserable people typically are poor people because poor people hate their lives. And they're doing jobs that just pay them per hour, and they can't stand it, and they have to drink a whole pot of coffee to motivate themselves to get up in the morning. So hopefully that's not you, but what we're going to talk about today is upgrading your life in 2020. What does that look like? Now, this is a very dynamic group. Our company has now I've been coaching on January the 2nd, 2020. It'll be 20 years. And I've been involved with our team in coaching over 250 different organizations, both nonprofits and for-profits in 20 different countries around the world. And it's a joy to share with you about some of these ideas about who we are as a company. You know, sometimes you go through really difficult seasons and you kind of have to start from scratch. And that's actually the seedbed over 10 years ago when we launched the Global Equipping Center. I was in a place called Durban, South Africa. I lived in South Africa for 7 years. It's my second home. And it was an amazing time to go out and look for clients as I reinvented myself. And many of you, even sitting here today, you would say, I'm in a place of transition. I'm in a place of reinventing myself. That's called New Year's resolutions. That's when you reinvent yourself. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about those because this is actually December. We're here in Fort Collins, Colorado, and people are thinking about the new year. Today what we're going to talk about are two different groups of people because that's who we have in the room and that's who watches us on YouTube and online and our website and everything else. We have a for-profit and nonprofit focus today that we're going to be talking about. Now, if you look at what the purpose of a for-profit company is, it's to make money. That's why you start a business. Nobody ever starts a business saying, I'd like to be poor, so I'm starting a company. You start a company to make money. If the company doesn't make money, you're failing your company. However, that's not the purpose of a nonprofit. The purpose of a nonprofit is not for profit. It doesn't mean they're not profitable. It means that their heart goes before the finances. They put people's needs first. Now, if you put people's needs first in business before finances, you turn into your for-profit into a nonprofit and you make no money. You help a lot of people and you go broke. That's called a nonprofit if you run it as a for-profit company. So if you're a nonprofit, here's what I want you to do. I would like for you, every time you hear me say the word marketing in this setting right here, I want you to think about sharing. Because marketing is a business term and sharing is a nonprofit term. So I'm going to be talking to for-profit people, but if you're in a nonprofit today, think about those thoughts. Number two, customers equal members. Customers equal members. How are you going to grow your nonprofit? It's by sharing your vision and helping people to have the same heart that you do. When you connect with them, they become members of your nonprofit. And lastly, money equals donations. Donors. That's what that is. So in my lifetime, I've started over 20 companies. Half of them have been nonprofit and half of them have been for-profit. And I've learned some huge secrets how for-profit companies partner with nonprofit companies and explode both organizations. So I have a big heart to help people make a lot of money in for-profit companies, and I have a real heart to help raise funds for nonprofits. So both of those, in my mind, are accomplishing the visions of where people are called. So I'm going to be sharing stories on both sides today because that's who our audience is, and I'm excited that everyone is in the room because only the right people are allowed in. So this talk, if you're watching this talk and it's 2030, this is December 2030. You're watching this talk. These principles will still change your life and will give you some new ideas because of this reason. They can be applied at any time because the principles are universally relevant. The way that you market in a third world country is the same that you market in a first world country. And if you're bad in a third world country in business, you'll be bad in a first world country in business. So we're going to be talking about some principles that you can use in any organization at any time with anyone. Lastly, for those of you that have heard me speak many times, my style is called provocative conflict. I have a whole one-day seminar on this. I've not launched it in the US, I launched it in South Africa. So here's what provocative conflict is. It is the purposeful stepping on toes in order to get people to move. Transformation is not an easy process, but typically you need somebody to build a fire underneath you to motivate you from one place to another. So what I do before I go into provocative conflict is to ask permission of the audience, will you allow me to create conflict internally for you to get you to go to the next level? And therefore I need everyone to nod and say yes because you're here. So audience there, everyone here nodded. So that means nobody can take offense from this point forward until the hour is over at 1:00 p.m. here, Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so here's 3 reasons why New Year's resolutions fail. You've heard these people, right? They get all excited or they're really frustrated in December, and what do? They get these huge New Year's resolutions that are so lofty and so amazing. It's called gym memberships, right? Gym memberships. Every single person probably in this room, and maybe those of you watching us in January said, I'm going to go to the gym, and you say something like this, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week for 2 hours a day. Why does that fail? Why is it March and you've forgotten how to get to the gym? Why does that take place? Why do people that say, I want to lose weight, rarely lose weight, but gain weight by the end of the year? Why is that? We're going to talk about that, of 3 reasons why New Year's resolutions fail. Here's what the first one is. Because you can't upgrade your life until you understand some root causes. Here's the first point. Trying to alter reality without understanding root causes. I'll never forget this story. It's one of my favorite stories to share. There was a lady who was an executive, and she started gaining weight and couldn't figure out why she was gaining weight. And all of us who love to eat, that's not difficult to imagine. And she started gaining weight, and she started gaining pound after pound. And for 90 days, she gained weight, just pound after pound. And finally, she talked to somebody, and it was a coach. And the coach asked her and said, why are you gaining so much weight? She goes, I don't get it. I don't know why. I'm happy. I love my new job. And he started asking more questions and found out that in this new job, she loved it, but it created a lot of stress. And one of the things that she was doing that brought the stress down is she loved chocolate ice cream. Now, that's not a problem on a daily basis if you love something. The problem is every day, Monday through Friday, as she drove home from work, she went by a Baskin Robbins and stopped in and ate chocolate ice cream. And the coach said, let's get a map out. And they looked at a map and they realized that she could change her route and never go by that Baskin Robbins ever again. And you know what? She lost all her weight because she changed one thing. There was a root cause. It was her driving. She took a route that was such a temptation for that she needed to go a different route. When somebody says to me, David, I have a major problem, or I want to overcome this, and I've got a New Year's resolution, my first question is, what was the root problem in the beginning, why it was there? Because if you don't know what the root problem is, you can try to change your behavior all you want, and you'll still go back to it. That chocolate ice cream Baskin Robbins store will not move because you keep driving by it. You have to change direction. Number 2, fleeting moments of dissatisfaction without honest evaluation. For those of you that are watching, that are taking notes, some of you love notes, you love to fill in the blanks, that's for you. For those of you that hate notes, don't worry about it, you don't need to email us, you'll lose the notes anyway. So here's what it is. Why do people make these huge New Year's resolutions? Because they are dissatisfied with themselves or something going on in their life. However, if those are just little dissatisfactions and the person hasn't made a real commitment, then you can't upgrade based upon a whim. People upgrade because they've made up their mind that they're going to do something. You need to evaluate why you're really changing what you're changing. Next, brainstorming about the problem without creating a solution. Okay, you have to thoroughly understand why you're gaining weight or why your business isn't growing or why you're not getting new members. You must understand what the real problems are before you grow something. Okay? So if you say, I really understand the problem, that's great. You can't go to the solution until you know what the problem is. Some people are so focused on the problem, they forget that they need a solution. So you brainstorm the problem till you really understand it, and then you create a solution that solves it once and for all. So this event is not focusing upon shattering major paradigms because that's a different topic. We have a different talk on that. But we are talking about upgrading the areas that matter most to you and your organization. So just as Carrie Cox, our president, was just sharing with this group, an upgrade is not an overhaul. An overhaul is something in which you decide, I'm going to do something completely different. For instance, if we have a F-150, I bought it brand new in 2014, loved it. My next upgrade was not a private jet. Because that's what some people do. They're like, David, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week in my New Year's resolution. Great. Have you joined a gym yet? No. And they want that's an overhaul. That's not an upgrade. So what did you, David? Yeah, we bought a new 2019 truck. We upgraded our truck. What are you doing that's not quite working as good as you want it to be? That's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. So it means you're going from something that's mediocre to spectacular. When we first got it in our 2019 F-150, the number of upgrades in 5 years that Ford did were so amazing that I literally giggle every time I get in the truck. You know why? Because I can hit a button and it starts to massage your back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this truck. It's an awesome upgrade. When somebody says upgrades aren't that meaningful, yeah, come sit in my truck. You're going to feel the upgrade. So you want it to be spectacular. All right, so here's what we're going to look at. We're going to talk about 3 points. And for those of you that went on Meetup and you actually read, okay, what our topics were, this is what we said we're going to talk about. Refresh your marketing strategy, right? Sharing with 5 different successful ingredients. Renew your own aspirations for your business and life. And thirdly, reinvigorate your desire to help others by using closing techniques without heavy pressure. Nobody likes to be pressured, right? In fact, I actually remember the last time that I was hard sold. Isn't that fun when somebody else tries to hard sell you? I think it's funny. I giggle inside. I don't do that with my face, but I'm like, wow, I'm really listening. But the person's like, you know, what can we do to get these keys in your hand today? You know, and you're like, whoa, used car salesman with tweed suit, right? Polyester. Okay, nobody wants hard selling. So if you're in a nonprofit, right, if you know how to share correctly, the person should literally be saying to you, how can I find out more about your nonprofit? There should be an excitement because you marketed correctly to that personality. So let's talk about those 3 things. Number 1, refresh your marketing strategy. Here's what it is. Choose the correct method is the fill-in. Choose the correct method for the best time in the day, week, month, or year to gain the greatest amount of exposure. Next fill-in for you, your company, products, and services. Let's take a look of what this looks like. Here is your marketing strategy. And what you have here is you have the days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what you're going to find is you've got AM, PM. Every single one of these days either works really well, kind of mediocre, and horrible for you to market your company. If I was to say this to you, the last time that you went out and tried to recruit people to your organization, what did you find was the best time of day and best day of week that the majority of people you got as clients, you got as members? What is that? Well, most people don't understand that an Excel spreadsheet helps you know what your successes are based upon the time of day and day of week. So for instance, since we've been in events for over 20 years, if you say to me, David, globally, what is the best day of the week and time of day to have a paid-for business breakfast? Oh, that's really easy. I already know. It's this right here. Tuesday morning, AM, best time. Why? Because we've done it in over 20 countries. Tuesday morning is the best time globally to have the most people attend a paid-for business breakfast. Well, why don't I do that on Saturday morning? Because people that hunt won't show up. They go hunting on Saturday mornings. And if you're a fisherman, you go fishing on Saturday mornings. And what about in the wintertime? There's people that go skiing. Saturday's a terrible time for a business breakfast. But maybe for your organization, with what you do, you're not looking for a business breakfast, but what you do for your AM, the best day is Sunday morning. And that's your best opportunity for the whole week to close on the most clients for your day. How do you know when the best time to market is? Answer, keep statistics so you know what works when you recruit. Otherwise, you know what we're doing? We're saying, hey, let me take a bow and arrow, shoot it into the wall, and take paint and go and paint around it and say, look, I hit the bullseye. Instead of knowing, Tuesday morning is my best morning to have the most people attend. Now, it's not just the best day of the week, it's also the time of day. So if you say, David, what's the best time to call people and actually get them on the phone if they're non-corporate, if they're entrepreneurs? Oh, it's really easy. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. James, between, what is it? What are the hours?
For breakfast?
But no, to call them at any time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
In South Africa, it was between 9 and 11.
Thank you. 9 and 11 a.m. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. People pick up their calls the most because they won't pick up on Friday because they're already thinking about Saturday. And on Monday, they're swamped with admin. Now, if you want to call a corporate and get through all the red tape and the key holder called the executive assistant, you call early on a Monday morning between 5 and 6 and 7 a.m. where he's already at his desk, and you get right in there because he's saying, who on earth is calling me? It must be urgent. And you better make sure your script's perfect. Not only is it about the best Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's also the best month out of the year. You've got 12 months from January through December. Here's my question. Out of all those months, what is the very best month for your organization to get the most members, to get the most customers? Do you know what that is? Because here's the thing. If you haven't seen the progression of the spikes throughout the year, where it goes like this. One month it's like this, next month it goes way down here. You actually lose people on that month. This one's just a mediocre month. Guess what this will show you? This will show you when you're supposed to recruit people to your organization and when you should rest. You know what people do? Hey, I'm going to stay intense from January to December and market equally every single week. That's exhausting. I don't want to share my vision with every single person and go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars and market. I don't want to do that. I want to know what the best months are throughout my year and focus on those to recruit the most people. And then when there's a lull right here, I need to rest. That's when you take a vacation. It's hilarious to me when people take vacation at the highest part of when they make the most opportunities for income. You don't ever rest when it's time to reap your harvest. You'll rest when it's time to rest. So, there's the best time for everything. All right, there we go. So I want to talk to you now about 5 different ingredients that you need to know when you think about sharing your vision, sharing your organization with other people. And the first one is this. You must have a refined marketing strategy that is clear and compelling. So if you say, David, what are you excited about next year? Oh, I'm excited because we have a monthly event for both of our organizations. It's going to be in this room. It's going to be different places. We're traveling to probably 5 different states next year. I'm excited. How are you going to do that? Our number one way is something called flyers. Flyers work back in the 1980s and they work in the 2000s because people don't think they work anymore. That's our number one way that we get new clients is through flyers. So if you say, well, David, how did you guys shatter the record in Nelspruit, South Africa with 706 people that came to a breakfast and they all left their houses and they came there and we set the record for the whole country in that town. 22,000 flyers. That's how we did it. We literally handed them out. We put them in P.O. boxes. We put them up in shopping malls and in grocery stores. We said, we're going to shatter a record. That was our strategy. It motivated us. I love handing somebody a flyer and saying, look what we're doing next month. That's exciting for me. Now, if you hate flyers, please don't make that a part of your marketing because it means you're going to be like, oh, I have to give somebody else a flyer. And then you're not excited about your method. So you need to make sure that you have refined your marketing strategy that is clear to your team and that compels them to go out. I will One of my passions is I love helping for-profits and nonprofits equally. It's exciting for me. And I remember that there was a small nonprofit in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they had 50 members in their organization. And I said to them, I can double your nonprofit in 90 days. And they laughed. And they said, no, you can't. We've been doing this for over 10 years. And I said, if you do it my way, is it okay if you do it my way? Because I needed to know. Because I didn't want to help them if they didn't want to do it my way. And I said, if you'll let me do it my way, I guarantee you in 90 days we'll double your nonprofit. And they said, okay. So what happened was in 90 days we developed a strategy that was very unique for them called a refined marketing strategy. And we trained everybody in the nonprofit how to grow the nonprofit. In 90 days, on the 90th day, we had 111 people. We more than doubled the organization because of something called marketing. We didn't hard sell anyone, but we did use flyers because I'm excited about flyers. Okay, number 2, you must know what the real and felt needs are of your customers, of your members. So when I say to somebody, how are you doing getting new members? How are you doing getting new clients? They say, not so good. Okay, tell me about if you boil all the clients and members you have down to one person, what does the person look like? What does the person look like? What does it look like for you to get that person? You have to know what that person's real needs and felt needs are. So if you don't know what their real needs are, when you develop marketing information, it's a guess, and then nobody shows up because you're not hitting the real needs and the felt needs. So if you say, David, why do people join your coaching program? Oh no, they want personal and professional growth. Is that a real need? No, that's a felt need. What else? They want more finances. That's right. They want to make a bigger impact. That's right. What's the real reason? The number one reason why people stay with us for years is based upon friendship. That's just it. Our value of friendship is so high that if we don't like you, we won't take your money and you can't become a client for us. My answer is no. And I literally turned down huge amounts of money because I didn't like the person. I'm like, no, I don't want to work with this person. I don't want to work with people that want to become our best friends and pay us money. And therefore, we have made friends all over the world that pay us money to be our friends. And then we grow their business. It's a very backwards way how we do business, and we've been doing it for 20 years. And James and I have had many arguments over which client is our best friend. It's been so much fun. All right. Next, you must be, and please listen to these words, completely convinced that you can sell your products and services. You must be 100% convinced with not 1 ounce of waver, not 1% of waver, that what you're doing and who you're doing it for, you have pure motives, you have a great organization, and you can share about them with such enthusiasm and integrity that people have to come and see what you're doing. Sales is not a sin. It's not a bad word. It's the ability for you to persuade another person that what you have is for their best. If you make these remote points and you know this is an A+ remote point, it's your due diligence to sell to every single person that you possibly can, because it means that it's going to help them. And I've had this for years and years and years. It has never broken. It's even had jet lag many times between South Africa and America. It still works. I'm happy with the product. Whoever makes it, I'm thankful for the person. Remember, when you are completely convinced about what you're doing, it's easy to convince people to come be a part of what you're doing. Your enthusiasm should drive you. Now, when you're an introvert, we have a whole series on this called Increasing Your Performance by Unlocking Your Personality. And we have the 4 different personality tests called DISC, and we've been teaching this for almost 30 years now. We have developed a course that we have people that have been teaching DISC for 20 or 30 years come to this course and say, Dave, I've never heard anything like it. I said, that's because I gleaned the secrets in 20 different countries. The 4 personalities are everywhere. It's awesome. And here's the truth. When an introvert is excited, their face has a disconnect with their heart. And I have told introverts over and over, when you're excited, please smile. I know it takes energy. I know you may have to reserve it. There might be a crisis that you need that energy. But when somebody says to me as an introvert, I am so excited about my company. their face doesn't match their excitement. And that doesn't motivate me to want to hear about it. Because I'm like, are you sure? Are you lying? Did you have Botox? Is there some issues here that you can't smile? So when you're an introvert, please make sure you smile when you talk about it. It's not being fake. You're sharing what your heart feels. Don't save your energy of your face when you're trying to persuade. All right, now this is an important one. Please star this one. This is really important. You must understand the importance of both body language and timing. Body language and timing. So when I raise funds, and I'm speaking in front of 1,000 people, and I'm raising funds, I am watching the body language of my audience to see how they're doing. See, usually in the beginning, as I get to know them, everybody's fidgeting, and eventually and then it kind of calms down, and then all of a sudden I share a story and it gets really quiet. And then all of a sudden, there's the time to ask, will you help this organization go to the next level? I'm watching two things. I'm watching the body timing of the room, the body language of the room, and I'm making sure that when I ask, it's the right time, so they say yes. You've all seen this before. I love this. Go to somewhere and watch some young people try to pick each other up. This is really, really fun. So here you got 18, 25-year-olds, and you're watching this guy trying to pick up this girl, and he's like, hey, how you doing? You know, he comes over there, he starts talking with her. And what happens next is she goes, yes, I'm very interested in you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yes, well, whenever you ask, I'm sure I'll give you my number. And by the time she's done, everything in her body, and he keeps talking to her back because he thinks he's doing great. Well, what is this? A lack of watching body language. So before you invite somebody to come to your organization, they're already leaning forward and they're waiting for you to ask them just to come. Will you just come and be a part of what we're doing? The body language. And second is timing. I love this. If you've ever overheard somebody overselling something, this is a really fun one. You're like, okay, good. Okay, coming up, and you hear it, right? There's a time to close where you say, I would like to invite you to be a part of what we're doing. And you're supposed to do it then. But then they keep talking. And then they keep talking. And the person that was really excited and they're ready to say yes, what happens? They go, and you've lost them. The timing has passed to invite them. So when you watch the body language and you watch the timing, it's supposed to happen that you say this, oh look, they're ready. You ask, they say yes. Now that's because you've already convinced them that what you're doing is what they need. There's no manipulation here. If you know what you're doing, you should be able to persuade the majority of people as long as they're the correct customer. It should be easy. Number 5 is, you must know how to close. You must know how to close the sale, or the marketing strategy is pointless. You could have a 250-page marketing strategy, and if you don't know how to close, it is a pointless document. So, isn't it great when you were in elementary school, they taught you the 7 different closing secrets? In high school, right? 7 ways how to close on a date, They didn't tell you anything. College, any closing? No. Why? Everyone expects you know how to share your vision and close on a person. It means that you literally say, so I would like you to do this. Are you ready? It's so simple. It's not manipulative, but people don't know how to ask. And if you don't ask, you don't receive. So, how do you close? Most people don't know how to share about the organization in such a way that they do the 3 secrets of closing techniques. It's called the pre-sale. By the time we are done with this talk, every single person in this room is going to either be saying, I'm interested in more information about this executive coaching program. Or, it's not the right time for me. Or, no, these people don't mesh with who I am. But that's what the pre-sale is. Halfway through. It's now halfway through. By now you're thinking a little bit differently about our coaching program. You're wondering, I wonder if I know how to close effectively as I thought I did. What is the percentage that you grew with new customers or members this year? You're thinking differently. And then at the end, so now you've already made up your mind. You've made up your mind whether or not this next year is going to be your year or it's going to be a year just like this year. So what is your decision? Because a lot of people say, I need to go home and sleep on it. Hogwash. When they go to the store and they're going to go buy a toaster, you know what they don't say? I have to sleep on it. They walk out with a toaster. Every single person makes a purchase because they know it's the right thing to do for them. They don't go up and say, there are 5 different toasters here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose sleep tonight. Woo! Should I get brushed bronze or silver? There's a black one. Oh my gosh, there's a white one. Oh, there's a pink one. I don't know what to do. Let me go sleep on it. Adults make decisions because they know it's the right thing to do. It's not a $150,000 car. It's not an airplane. It's coaching. All right, so I love this quote by the father of modern management, Peter Drucker. The aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer, not what you're excited about, what you're going to tell them, what the customer is, so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself. So, our next point is that we said we're going to talk about is renew your aspirations. Renew your aspirations. Aspiration means, in the dictionary, a strong desire, longing, or aim, an ambition, a goal or objective that is strongly desired. If you said this, David, the one thing I want to accomplish next year is this. If I could accomplish this one thing, I would say that it would be a successful year. How much do you want that? How much do you desire that? How much are you thinking and strategizing? Are you journaling? Are you writing down some ideas? Are you brainstorming? Are you talking about it with others? Because that's what desire really is. It's something that you don't have to try to drum up. It's already there. And you can't shut up about it. You know, one of the people that you run into all the time is somebody who loves an animal. They love a cat or a dog or a chimpanzee, but they love some type of animal. It happens a lot when I was living in Africa because people love the rhinos. Huge crisis there with all the poaching. And you would hear somebody that would talk and they would get emotional about the 324 rhinos that were killed in South Africa last year. And they would say, we have to do something or they're going to be extinct. And they would get teary-eyed. And you were just there trying to get your burger, and you're hearing about a rhino issue going on with this lady next to you. Why is that? She didn't say this, I'm going to go to the burger store, a burger shop, and I'm going to talk about rhinos. She was there next to me, and her desire was so overwhelming, she couldn't shut up about it. That means you're with the right organization, because you don't have to drum up the desire. So, what is an aspiration? What you're going to do is you're going to take these notes home, and I want you to focus on these next 3 questions when you're by yourself and think about them. That is, and Carrie Cox talked a little bit about this, what is the one goal that you accomplished this year that you felt was significant? And she asked, what are the 3 things? So if you had a bad year, you might come up with 1. If you had a great year, maybe you can pat yourself and say, I had 10. But you came up with at least 1 that was significant. Number 2, what do you wish you could have accomplished that you didn't? What do you wish you could have accomplished that didn't happen this year that you're wondering, should you do it next year or should you just scrap it? And number 3, what 3 new objectives do you want to achieve next quarter? You should do this at the end of every quarter. At the end of every quarter, the question should be, what did we do that we really are proud of? Number 2, what didn't we accomplish? Number 3, what are the 3 things we want to do next quarter? Not 50, those of you overachievers like me. Not you're going from a truck to a plane, not upgrading like that. It's over, that's the crazy. So you want to know what are the 3 objectives you want to do in the first part of next year. Then the next question I have for you is, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? If you were to see the piece of paper of the 3 things that I wrote down, my 3rd thing that I was very proud of that we did as a company is we joined a gym and we're going. Not we joined a gym. We joined the gym and we're going. It's in the schedule. And what's in the schedule is in concrete in my life. It's called Google Calendar. And we have gym, and it means we go to the gym. And I was so excited about that. Because it wasn't just about joining and paying the couple $100 a month. It was actually going. I was really thrilled that was one of the goals we did this year. Do not lose hold of your dreams or aspirations, for if you do, you may still exist, but you have ceased to live. So let's talk about reinvigorating your desire. Because I'll tell you one thing, I have had in my 20 plus different companies, sometimes I had no marketing strategy whatsoever. I didn't know what I was doing. I was selling a product or service I didn't really know that much about. But here's what I had. My desire was so high that there was no way for me to fail. Have you ever been that level of positivity that you're like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to fail with this. I'm going to keep trying, and no matter what I don't have, I'm going to make it work. That's called desire. So how do you reinvigorate your desire? You do it to help others by using closing techniques without heavy pressure. That's one of the things you do, is your desire should automatically come out through your words so that you never have to hard sell. You should never have to say to somebody, I want you to come and join us in such a way that the person feels uncomfortable. They should be asking you, so when can I come visit? Or when can I hear more? When can we meet? That's the way it should be. Next. When you love your organization and you know your products and services completely and enjoy your customers, it's easy to sell. It's easy to share. So that's an important one, is about loving your organization. So for people that don't love their company, they would say this, I can take it and leave it. I'm not sure whether or not I want to do this or not. Well, let me ask you the $1 million question. The $1 million question is this. If somebody walked up to you and said, I will give you $10 million, you can live off the interest, you can have $10,000 a month to live off. You never have to work again in your life. What would you do? If the answer is this, oh, I definitely wouldn't do what I would be doing today, you're in the wrong organization. Because you shouldn't be working because of the finances, you should be working because of the calling. So if you said, David, if you got $100 million tomorrow, what would you do today, right here, right now, with you? That's what I would do. I wouldn't change a single thing. You know why? I love my life. Why would I change what I'm doing if I love it? So when I have to motivate somebody to grow their company, usually it's the wrong person for the wrong company. It's not a good fit. Last, if you don't know the importance of what you're supposed to do before you share about your organization, it makes it a lot harder. Have you ever taken like really good seed? You have some good things to share and you throw it and nothing comes up? Where it's really hard ground. You know what I'm talking about. Some of you are like, I have been marketing in Fort Collins for years and I still haven't seen the harvest. Why aren't these people doing business with me? Why aren't they joining me? Well, let's talk about it. It's pre-sales and how and when to ask your customer to purchase from you, then desire is pointless. If your desire is here, but you aren't completely convinced of your organization and what you're doing, and that's down here and you're wavering, you're not going to be able to convince anyone to come with you and do what you're doing. You can't convince somebody to purchase from you or to make a commitment if you are not ready, and you have to know some things in pre-sales. So let's take a look at some of those ideas. So here it is described. It's number one, to screen, that's the key word, to screen every person in your sphere of influence. Okay, good. To screen every person in your sphere of influence. So what we're going to look at now is, here is your city, your town that you live in. Okay, it's right here. And there's your sphere. Sphere, it means a cylinder. Okay, a sphere of influence. It's the influence that you have all in here. Now, here are your customers. Here are your members of your organization, and they're all in here. They're all in here. So it could be hundreds of thousands. It could be millions. It could be tens of millions. I don't know the size of your sphere. But I know this. These are all your customers. They're all potential. Now you say, David, they're all my customers. No, they're not. They're not all your customers. There's at least half of these people you couldn't stand. I mean, that you wouldn't want as customers. There's people here that will never purchase from you, will never come to your organization because they're not your customers. Why not? Because if you think that 100% of these people are your customers, it means none of them are. What is screening? Screening is asking questions to find out specifically that this person right here is your target audience. This is your primary person. So if you are excited about young people and they're between 13 and 19, and you say, mine is teenagers, and that's what I'm looking for. Or you come to another company and say, I'm trying to sell people on software, so you got to have a computer, right? So what am I doing here? I'm saying that people that say that everyone in here is a potential customer or member miss the mark of who their real target audience is. So when you screen, what you're doing is you're literally saying this: what is my filter in my sphere of influence that's going to keep me from burning out. Because if you try to get everyone all the time, you're going to burn out. The filter is to get the right people and to do something with them. What are you doing with the right people? Well, let's go to the next one. It's not just screening, it's not just filtering. But the next one is to identify your potential customers. To identify your potential members. That means you are literally going to recruit them. You here, as the organizational leader, team member, you're going to find the right people, and you're going to come in here and say, I want you to do something for me. I want you to become a member of my organization. I'm going to recruit you out of my sphere of influence to come be changed by my organization, to buy my product, to buy my service. You're going to recruit them. People that haven't identified who their screening agents are, of how to screen the right people, guess what happens? They're out there trying to blanket people with all of their information, and then guess what they do? They spend a ton of money with very little results, instead of knowing exactly who to target and then recruit that person. Next, discover the reasons why you chose them. For those of you that like to play cards and play poker, there's a gentleman called Kenny Rogers who says you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You know what most people think in their organization? That everybody in their sphere of influence has all the cards. And that means that you have to actually go and recruit them in such a way that you're saying, oh, they have all the cards. No, they don't. You have all the cards. You have all the cards. It's your organization. And when you see people in your organization and you see your new clients, you should say this: I am so thankful for the new clients that I have. I'm so thankful for the organization I'm in because you chose them. It means you have all the cards. You're responsible to market. You're responsible to recruit. And if you don't like somebody, don't recruit them. So it means that you have the ownership, the authority, the power, and the responsibility in your organization to find the people that you want to have in your company. And you go recruit them because you choose them. They don't choose you. Which means then you have an opportunity to go out and find the right people. Jill and I have become friends this past year, and she's joining our executive coaching program. I like Jill. Jill and I hit it off the first time we met, and the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, and this time. Every time that Jill and I talk, when I think about Jill, I smile. That means in my mind, she's already a client. That's what that means to me. I chose Jill. She didn't choose me. I chose her. It's my company. I'm the executive coach. I choose her. So when you think about it that way, guess what that means? You now have the authority to say no to people that aren't going to make your company better. Don't believe that all these people are yours. They're not. Find the ones and recruit them. Next, then, and only then, you develop a marketing plan. I remember way back when I was in university, I was asked to come to a small nonprofit, and I was asked to take over the young people there at that, and there was 5 of them. It was a really backwards place in Tennessee, way kind of in the jungle. And so there was like 50 people in this whole nonprofit, and 5 of them were teenagers. And they said, would you please grow our nonprofit? And I said, absolutely. And so in 3 months, we went from 5 to 50 young people in 90 days. It ramped up so hard until the church had so many young people that everyone in the church was upset because there was no room for all the adults. What if your marketing strategy works too well? What a great problem. Oh my goodness, we don't have enough chairs. Oh my goodness, we don't have enough expenses to cover all this. What are we going to do with all the profit? What a wonderful problem to have next year. All right, so let's look at some pre-sales truths that are defined. So here's what it is. It's the ability is the next fill-in. The ability of an individual, or please circle that word, group. Group. There's at least a couple people in your group that are better asking people to come see what you do than other people. Group sales are a lot easier than one-on-one. To persuade, not manipulate, persuade a potential customer to purchase a product or service in exchange for money. When you're a part of a for-profit company, every single client or customer that you get is worth an amount of money. So how much are they worth? Do you know? Boil down all of the clients in your last year. Let's say you had 50 clients. You boil that down. Okay, 50 clients. Great. How much did you make per client? And divide that by 50, and you're going to come out with the average amount per person, per month, per year. If you do this for nonprofits, you're going to find this. If you are recruiting people to come to your organization, on average, every single family is worth $1,000 a year. When you recognize that, and you say $1,000 a year in donations, yeah, that's what nonprofits usually get. Okay, what does that mean? That means when you meet with a family and they stay with you for 10 years, they're worth $10,000 to the nonprofit. Holy cow! Guess how I would think differently? I'm going out for a lot more meals. Because that's how I recruit people. I get them over dinner. I get them over breakfast and lunch. In fact, when James and I first started the Global Equipping Center, we spent an exorbitant amount of money on meals in 1 month. It was the most I've ever spent in any company at any time. And we went from 5 clients to 19 clients in 30 days. Because of one reason. We know the law of reciprocity. If I feed you, you will come. So, your ability. You can have lots of desire, but you have to know how to persuade people to say yes. And then they pay you. And guess what? Every person that ever gives a donation or ever pays you for a product or service should be smiling. There should not be a single grumpy customer that you have. You know, I pay $9.99 every month to Microsoft for my Microsoft Office, in which I can use PowerPoint for free. Because I only pay $10 a month. Do you know when I see it, I go, oh, I'm so thankful. I still have Office 365. I'm happy to be Microsoft because it works and they constantly upgrade. How happy are your people when they cut you a check? They should be like, man, I'm happy to pay this organization. It should be a happy day when they pay you. Because it's the right people. Now, this is the most important part of our entire time together. This is about closing the sale. And this is why the majority of people don't grow their organization year after year. Is number one, the leadership does not know how to close, and therefore they don't teach their staff to close, their teammates, and they don't teach their people to close. So when nobody knows how to close, everybody feels good and nobody grows anything. So we need to talk about it. So here are you on this side, and you've got a product or service. And then you make the sale, and then there's money in the bank. For a nonprofit, here's what it is. You're going to recruit them to come to your organization, then they're going to make a donation, and then it clears the bank. It's the same type of concept, okay? So let's take a look at where some failures are in here and why people don't close the sale with someone. Well, let's take a look at this. So here's failure number one. It's right before the sale. And here's where it is. There's failure number one. Here's what it looks like. You have not convinced the customer yet. You've not convinced the customer yet. And number two, you have not asked for the sale. So when you say this, okay, how do you convince your customer? You already know, because you have screened thoroughly, you already know the number 5 top objections why that person doesn't want to be a client or a customer or a member for you. You already know. Well, I'm too busy. Or I don't have any money. And they all have similar objections, but some are very specific for your organization. When you know what those objections are, guess what happens when you share about your organization? You answer all 5 of the objections in your pitch. Every single person has a pitch. If they don't know what they're pitching, it's pretty, it's like a blender. You never know what's going to come out of their mouth. David, what's the Global Equipping Center? The Global Equipping Center is a global organization that focuses on executive coaching for people that want to grow personally and professionally. That's what we do. That's our pitch. How many stories do you have? 20 years worth. We have great stuff. The person should be nodding with you, right? Because they're convinced that you are the right person with what you're selling. And then you have to ask them, so, would you like to come be a part of what we're doing? You have to ask for the sale. When you go to buy something at, I don't know, Walmart, nobody has to ask you to buy anything. You're going there to know what you're going to buy. But when you're selling something, you have to convince that person that what you have is what they need. It's supposed to be a natural fit where the person is literally saying, when are you going to ask me? I mean, wouldn't it be great? I remember one time I was talking to a lady, and I love it when I find a really dominant woman that thinks her husband needs coaching. That's one of my favorite people. And so we were sitting there in Schaumburg in Chicago at the Renaissance Hotel, and we were sitting there, and I was talking to her, and she said, so my husband, he needs executive coaching. And I said, okay. And I looked at him, he's like, yeah. And I said, well, what does he need? Well, he needs 5 things, David. And she told me what the 5 things were like. He was like, yeah. And I said, okay, so it's 20, you know, at my level, I'm at the executive level, it's $2,500 a month. And she goes, okay, that's fine. And she says, so how are you going to solve these 5 things? I said, well, I've got 5 different strategies. Really? Well, of course. That's why we solve things. We develop strategies. Okay. Well, just give me one. And I gave her one. She goes, okay. She got out her checkbook. So here's $2,500. And she goes, here you go. And she paid for her husband's first month on the spot, first time I met him. Why? Because she was already convinced with a couple little stories of the impact that we had on people that she decided to cut the check before I even could say, would you like an invoice? She cut the check and said, here. That's the way donations are supposed to be. It should be that people have already thought about your organization all week long, have written out a check, have had to tear it up and write a bigger one because they got impacted by your organization. That means you are doing something right. It's easy. It's easy to make money and to receive donations if you know about this. So convince them that what you're doing is worth 10 times the amount of what they're giving. Failure number 2, you've not invoiced the customer. Now, if you're a nonprofit, here's something which just blew me away because I've spoken to nonprofits all over the world. When somebody gives a big donation at a fundraising banquet, because that, by the way, is globally is the #1 way how to raise the most money is in a banquet, on an evening. And by the way, there's bad evenings and good evenings, so you better pick the right one. And here's what happens. At the end of that time, somebody will write you a significant check. And the person will say to me over and over, you know, I never hear back from the organization until the next banquet postcard. And I said, but how many zeros did you give? Oh, no, a lot. When you are in nonprofit, if somebody gives you something that has at least 3 zeros behind a number, I would encourage you to take that person out to dinner and have it covered by the organization. Write a thank you letter. Do something to keep them engaged because that person can add another 0 the next year. So you can't send them an invoice. Here, as a nonprofit, here, we need your donation. Here's an invoice. There's no invoice for donations. There's a tax write-off receipt. But that's not the same as saying thank you. So number 2, if you're a person that does not invoice somebody in the last month, you are probably not growing your company. If you've really closed the sale, the person should email you and say, please send me an invoice so I can pay you because I'm ready to start. That's the right person, isn't it? You know, having gone to South Africa for 8 years and lived there for 7 years, for 15 years my life's been focused on the continent of Africa, this was something that drove me up the wall. You would literally have to drive to the company and say, please take my money because you won't answer me back on email, you won't answer me back on my phone call, and I have to pay you because I need your services. And they would say, oh, well, you know, we've just been a little busy, and, you know, it's Christmas time, we don't work for a month, I don't work for a month there. So make sure you invoice. Next, have given the product or service to the customer before receiving payment. We used to do this all the time. It's called proposals. For those of you that are like me that love writing proposals, this is the biggest waste of time you could ever do. I have at least 300 proposals right now I can show you that have not made me 1 single penny. You know why? I should have sent the invoice before I even developed the proposal. I just learned this lesson a couple weeks ago again. I can't believe I haven't learned it yet. Okay, so that's failure number 2. So there's the money in the bank. Now, I want to share with you something that's really important. when somebody says yes to you, there's a lull before they show up. When somebody says yes to you, before you get paid for a product or service or a donation, there's a lull. That's called no momentum. You want to believe the best about people, right? When somebody says yes, you believe the best about them. Don't become cynical or skeptical, even though many people said something and then didn't do it. There's always somebody else that will do what they say. So, in between, when you've asked them, convinced them, they said yes, and before they show up, before they make a donation, there's the lull in the sale, which over and over and over, people don't understand that the reason why the person didn't do what they said is there's a lull, and that's because there's no momentum in between those 2 points. And so the way that you fix that is called celebration. When James and I would have a major opportunity in South Africa with a big company, and they said, we're ready to move forward with you, we would do something that we did constantly, which is we'd go out to eat. There's a place called Nando's Chicken. It's our favorite chicken place in South Africa. They don't have it in Fort Collins yet. I haven't opened the franchise. I'm going to eat myself out of business. But that's what we would do. And he would say, why are we going out to eat? No, we're celebrating that we got the sale. And we're going to talk about it and keep the momentum high, that from the time the person said yes, all the way until we actually get the money, they're not going to drop the ball. And many times we would get the yes, and then even while we were eating, our phone would ding, and there it said on our bank account that we just got paid. Whatever you do, when somebody says yes, keep the momentum high for that person or that group, or you will lose the momentum with them. And you know what loss of momentum means? Everything you did up until that point is pointless because they never showed up. They never gave a donation. They never became a client. Now, if you're in coaching, what that means is that's how we give back to the community. We literally talk to people every single month, one-on-one, one on Skype, one on phone call, and that's what we do to give back. We give our time to people for 1 hour complimentary, and we help them grow their organization. That's what we do. So we have a sign-up sheet that all we do is we say, if you're here in Colorado or you're willing to drive or fly here, this Thursday and Friday, December 12th, 2019, December 13th, 2019, this from 2 until 6 p.m., we will meet with you one-on-one, complimentary, and our team will be there, and we'll help you grow your organization for free. That's what we do, for one reason. Because you can't ask somebody to do something until they've been convinced. Well, how do you convince somebody? You spend time with them. So when people come into your organization, they want to know who you really are, and they want to check out your value system, and they want to see what you believe. Guess what they're doing? They're trying to see, are they convinced about what you are selling? Are they convinced in your vision, in your mission, in your heart, that what you say is what you will do? So we have a couple other products here that I want to share with you as we wrap up. One of them is called Tapping Into Your Intuition. It's a booklet. It's over here on the product table. It's for $5. It's literally how do you use your intuition to grow your organization. And if you're a nonprofit, you can just use another word for intuition. On creating momentum in your sphere of influence, for those of you who know all about your sphere of influence and how to grow this, you're going to love this book. We actually printed this in South Africa. It's actually South African spelling. It did get shipped over here on a boat. We have less than 500 copies left out of our 6,500 copies that we pre-sold before we had the title. If you know anything about writing and authoring a book, less than 4% of all authors in the lifetime of any book that they write will ever sell more than 5,000 copies in their lifetime. It means that there are authors all over the world with something called a storage unit, with boxes of books that will never be sold. And this book has so much momentum in it that it sold 5,000 copies before I had a title on it. And that's the kind of book that it is. It's $20. You can pay in rand, yen, kwacha, whatever you want. It works with us. Yes. So, as we wrap up, I want to share with you one last thing. And that is a story about the momentum that you can have, just like we have all the time. That is that if you really are the right person in the right organization, and you are convinced that what you're doing is the right thing to do, it will be easy for you to recruit people to your organization. There I was in Gateway Mall in Durban, South Africa, and I just worked out at the gym. I was in the steam room, and a gentleman and I started talking business. And he said, what are you working on? I said, I'm writing my first book. He said, what chapter are you on? I said, chapter 3. And I told him about the chapter. He says, you know what? I just went bankrupt 3 months ago, and that's the reason why I'm going to hire you as a coach. So what did I do? I said, I'm going to go celebrate and have Nando's chicken. So I started walking through the mall. I was smiling. I just made another member in my organization. I'm walking around and I'm going to go eat chicken. And right before I go out of the double doors, I hear somebody yell my name, David! And I'm looking around and I see a guy waving and I'm waving back because I've spoken all over the world. I have no idea who this guy is. He's like, I came to one of your seminars. I said, that's awesome. He said, listen, I'm moving to America. Will you please coach me for the next 90 days? And I said, absolutely. And now I'm going to have not a quarter chicken meal, but a half a chicken meal. And so I go down there, and I go down and I find 4 professional Africans, and I sat next to them. I told them about my book. I said, I want to get my book into President Zuma's hands, and they said, this is President Zuma's best friend. He just got off the phone with him. You see, the bottom line is, my friends, when you are the right person in the right organization, it's time to upgrade your life, and we look forward to upgrading it with you. My name is David Wilkinson. I'm the CEO of the Global Equipping Center. It's been an honor and pleasure to talk to you today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.